Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Rebecca Skeel. I want to welcome you to this live Facebook post today. And if you're here with me live, welcome. And if you are seeing this later, thank you for watching this video. I want to say these videos that I'm doing on a month of radical loving are really beginnings of conversations. I'm going to share with you my thoughts. I'm going to share with you some things that I've been thinking about as far as radical loving goes. But I really hope you jump on and comment for yourself about, oh, I'm supposed to look over here, for yourself about what this is for you. So welcome whenever you're watching this video. I want to say that this is number 2. The first video that I did was last week. It actually launched my month of radical loving, where I'm going to focus this month on radical loving. And in that first video, I talk about the backstory as to how this has come about for me at this time. And also I shared some perhaps other synonyms for the word radical, in case that is an off-putting word for you. I hope it's not by the time we finish this month together. But if you, and then I also invited you to take a look at what is radical loving for you. And I had some lovely posts for that. So I just want to say, if that is something you'd like to catch up on, please be sure and watch video number 1. This is video number 2, and I'm going to do a video every day this week. And I love that, sorry, I well up from time to time when I'm talking about this, so just bear with me. I love that I'm doing this video on Martin Luther King's Day. A prophet and teacher and leader for our time, and certainly very relevant as to what he was facing in his lifetime and also what we are facing in our lifetime. So I want to start off with a couple of quotes from him. Let's go on and get his words here, and then we can move into what I want to talk about today. Just a couple of quotes. You may know these quotes, but it's, I think, always good to hear them again. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Both of those were from Martin Luther King. And I picked those two today because I am talking about radical loving and what it is for our times. You know, if you look at leaders throughout our life and other lifetimes that were facing tremendous challenges, that were rising up against, let's say, the powers that be, they all had one thing really in common. If we're talking about Martin Luther King, if we're talking about Gandhi, if we're talking about Nelson Mandela, and of course there are thousands more, they had one thing in common, and that is they had compassion. And that is what I see as a teaching for our time, as almost a medicine, if you will, in this time where so many of us are confused and hurting, maybe even our hearts are broken, and we are sad and we are afraid. We are looking for the medicine, something that will heal us enough to begin to move into action. You know, compassion, if you look at these leaders and if we look at just around us even today, compassion is not, compassion does not turn away from what is going on in our lives. Compassion does not see the hatred or the injustice or the cruelty. Compassion sees it all and yet does not separate from it. instead connects with that loving, that fire, passion inside, and brings it out into our life through our hands. Hands that can touch and heal. Hands that can comfort. Hands that can create. Hands that can go to work. And that's what I see so much in those that stood forward and took up the crucible of their time and began to take that passion and put it to work. There's a quote by Chardin by Meister Eckhart that says, "Compassion is where peace and justice kiss." So I believe compassion is one of the medicines of our time. A way that we can take all of that passion in our heart and move it into the world in whatever way we want to, and however it looks for you. Doing what we can with what we have. This isn't a time to circle the wagons and just focus on ourselves. It is a time to open and to think about not only ourselves but others as well. And I think all of us know this. This is our time to really bring forward the values, the deep values that we hold, the sacred values for some of us. The loving for some of us is very sacred. Inclusion and acceptance and is very sacred to a lot of us. And so how do we bring that forward in ways that we feel empowered by it and transformed through it? And that's another thing that I really believe compassion does for us, is when we put it into action, when we do whatever we're called to do, small, big, is that it begins to transform the energy that we're holding. And it doesn't get stuck. It doesn't circle around and take us down into some place that's dark. It really begins to uplift us. And we are connected to all of us that are taking action right now in the world. And this could be in our communities, this could be in our families, this could be in on the world scene, on the political scene, however it's coming forward. So Martin Luther King represented radical loving to me. He stepped forward with his strength and his passion and his loving and his justice for all, his vision, and he put everything on the line, didn't he? And so each of us had the opportunity to take a look. What is that way we want to express that loving in the world at this time? And the other thing I just want to circle back around and say about compassion is that, compassion does not add to the rancor or the separation. Right? Compassion steps in with inclusion and with justice for all. So that's my thoughts on compassion today. And again, I want to say that this really is a dialogue. I'm hoping that you will make a comment, a sharing, or whatever is in your heart that you'd like to share. I think it's so important right now that we speak and we articulate. And tomorrow, at same time, same place, well, maybe not the same place, I may move the camera, I'm going to be talking about open-heartedness. These are all different aspects of radical loving that I've discovered when this was given to me as an assignment a couple of months ago to do this. So, compassion. Maybe just take a moment and, again, compassion has to do with the heart. It has to do with that passion in your heart, that place of the fire that doesn't burn, but it purifies. So just maybe take a moment and ask yourself, what is that fire that burns in my heart at this time? How can I bring it forward in service to all? What is it that I want to put into action through my hands in the world? Thank you for being with me.